The U-22 Great Scott presents Campaign WSU. Mike Webster, the driver out of Reading, Pennsylvania.
And we've got Mark Evans back in the U57 FormulaBoats.com. You know, Bianca Bonancini has been taking some laps in that boat. Talked to her this morning. She's going to take some more laps in Seattle, try to get qualified as a driver. But today, Mark Evans.
88 Degree Men, J. Michael Kelly, a beautiful new boat for the Shoemaker Racing team, and it's a little bit different design, much lower profile. You heard Chip Hanauer earlier talking about they've lowered the driver in the center of gravity, and they're still dialing the boat in, but it is already proved that it can be a very, very fast boat. And talk about fast boats.
Oh, what can you say about the U-96 Spirit of Qatar and Dave Villwock? Winningest driver of all time, 7-time Columbia Cup champion, and it's the fastest boat on the circuit. It's that simple.
And he is out on the backstretch right now as the boats are doing their check-in procedure. The 88 Degree Men, that's the rooster tail you just saw in front of the camera as we watch Dave Villwock go up the backstretch. He's checked in at speed across the start-finish line. Two more boats heading out of the pit area.
And that is the 88 Degree Men. You know, one of the things I talked to J. Michael about this morning was with that cockpit sitting lower in the boat, does it do anything to your sight lines? And he said, you don't have great sight lines in a hydroplane anyways. Does cut down a little on the peripheral vision, but generally, he said, it's not that different.
I would think as you look at the cockpit and then the two sponsons, you look at maybe one of these other boats in a minute or two, you will see that his head is just up above the top deck of that sponson. So, yeah, I imagine it could cut down his peripheral vision.
Yeah, you can tell when you look at Mike Webster in the U-22 boat, the difference.
Yeah,
the great Scott presents Campaign WSU.
Scott Carson from Boeing, a retired president of the Boeing Airplane Company, got involved with unlimited hydroplane racing in a big way. We talked about that with the Miss Wahoo recreation, and he teamed up with the guys from Reading, Pennsylvania, and Webster Racing, and that's why the boat is called Great Scott, and they've got a presenting sponsor with WSU.
And next year they're going to, next week in Seattle, they're going to be testing the biofuel mix in the U-22, and that is a project that Scott Carson is heading up.
Yeah, he's been very, very involved in that. In fact, the Elstrom family has a second boat in addition to the Qatar boat. That boat has, for the last several years, been painted up in the 787 colors, and they did some testing for 2 or 3 years on biofuel running that boat, and it ran very well. They weren't using the same mix of the kind of part of biofuel. They were using something that was made of coconuts, and Chip Hanauer was the driver. He said it smelled in the cockpit like pina coladas. I don't know if that's true.
I don't know that either. It's actually camelina oil is what they call it, but it does have that smell.
So the Degree Man, the 88 boat, at 2 minutes and 50 seconds, has parked himself. J. Michael Kelly in lane number 1, and he's trolling now slowly down toward that score-up buoy, and he's got a lot of time to kill. Everybody else going up the backstretch. Mark Evans on the outside. You see Dave Villwock there on the inside.
Plenty of time here. We still have 2.5 minutes. If anybody has a shot at Villwock with boat speed, it's the 88. Interestingly, they ran the course in Detroit. You know, they do different setups with the gearboxes and the props for each course. The Detroit course is a little longer than this one, 3 miles, but they were running a 2-mile setup. They told me they didn't have time to switch them out. This is their weekend to dial this boat in and get it going. So we might see the full potential for the first time.
Yeah, this is a 2.5-mile course. The Detroit River has been a 2.5-mile course, sorry, for a number of years. They lengthened it this year for much the same reason as we went from a 2-mile course here on the Columbia River to 2.5. There's a big hole in the river bottom, and it made for a really dangerous turn. So they lengthened the course in Detroit just as we lengthened the course to get away from that hole where everybody was having problems in the turn.
You're talking a literal hole.
A literal, yeah.
I always think it's funny when the boat drivers talk about a hole in the water, but it is as you come up over it. But you're talking about it's just too deep.
There's an indentation in the bottom, and that sets up a little bit of a hole in the top of the water as well. Huh. So we're watching Mr. N. Mark Evans out of Chelan, Washington, take the 57 boat, FormulaBoats.com, down the front straightaway. They're about 18 now, 17. You can see on your screen, 14 seconds. They are going to be in good shape for the score-up. They've got about 10 seconds left to go, and they're going to start spooling the boats back up to speed now. 4, 3, you can see it on the screen. They're in good shape. Everybody scored up pretty well. J. Michael Kelly was the first one to come past that buoy. but he was on time. Everybody else was well behind him. As they head up the backstretch, we'll see if Mike Kelly is going to try to slide over and take lane number 1 away. Now, they can continue to change lanes here if they have a legal overlap until they get to the entrance buoy of turn number 2. And whether Mike Kelly has done that or not successfully, I believe he does, because you can see Dave Villwock sliding over into lane number 3. Next to him, looks like it's one of the red boats, and I can't tell exactly who it is, but the degree men and J. Michael Kelly leading the field through the turn as they come down with 19 seconds to go. Apex of turn number 2. Mark Evans going to do his let's slingshot around the crowd. He tried this yesterday, ended up leading him across the line. Here we go. 5 seconds to go. It's going to be a close start once again. Mark Evans is going to lead him across. Absolutely nailed the start. Maybe a second behind, but everybody is good. It should be a good start. And Mark Evans leads him down the front straightaway. Lots of racing room between all 4 boats. Mark Evans is out in front, going to be leading him. First boat to turn left. Dave Villwock in lane number 2 was the second boat to turn left. Right next to him is J. Michael Kelly as they're through the turn, but Kelly has already fallen off. Now he's going to pick up. Dave slid out just a little bit, so he picked up a little bit of ground, and Kelly gets the right sponson up a little bit as he's coming up the backstretch. He's chasing Dave Villwock about 4 or 5 boat lengths behind. Mike Webster trailing the field in 4th. Your 3rd place boat is the 57 formulaboats.com, and now Dave Villwock starts to spread the boat out. His lead is growing as he's going to give J. Michael Kelly lots of racing room. Dave has the field covered with speed. He doesn't need to pinch Mike down any, and he's given him 2 or 3 lanes to race in. Your leader at the end of lap number 1, 96 boat, the Spirit of Qatar, and Dave Villwock. 2nd place, the U88, the 88 degree men. Nice little race here for 3rd and 4th as Dave Villwock gets the boat up just a little bit. 3rd and 4th. Now, right now, 3rd place is Mark Evans in the 57. Inside of him is Mike Webster in the 22. Great Scott presents WSU campaign. But as we look out along the backstretch, already off the turn is Dave Villwock in the Spirit of Qatar. J. Michael Kelly follows him in 2nd place. Still got a dandy little race back there for 3rd and 4th as the 2 lead boats start to spread out now. Right there next to each other.
You can see them side by side.
Mike Webster. On the outside is Mark Evans. Webster and Evans sponson to sponson here on lap number 2. They're having a nice little time. It's always fun, and Mark likes to get out and race somebody. And they'll race anything. He and his brother Mitch have raced snowmobiles and outboards and motorcycles. You name it. If it goes fast, they'd like to race it. Race against each other or anybody else who wants to race. Dave Villwock, end of lap 2. Takes the white flag. 1 more lap to go in Heat 2C. The 88 degree men, you could just see how far back J. Michael Kelly is now. The Great Scott presents campaign WSU. Mike Webster has taken a lead for 3rd place over the 57 boat. There you see Mike Webster. Well, now there you see Mark Evans as he tries to close up on this last time around. But Dave Villwock way, way, way out in front in the Spirit of Qatar. Running easily. It's a long ways, about a 1/3 of a backstretch back to the 88 degree men, and then another 1/3 of a backstretch back to Mike Webster. It's all strung out here on the race course. There's Mike Webster, your 3rd place boat. Mark Evans still trying to track him down, but I don't think he's going to be able to catch him unless something goes wrong in Mike's boat. Dave Villwock off the final turn, 3rd lap around, comes down to take the checkered flag. Here's your winner of Heat 2C of the Lamb Weston Columbia Cup, Dave Villwock in the Spirit of Qatar. Boat they spent a lot of time working on back in Evansville, Indiana, after that crash in Madison. The 88 degree men finishes 2nd. Here comes Mike Webster for 3rd place, and right behind him will be Mr. and Mark Evans in 4th place.
Nice run by Mike in the U22.
Yeah, Mike Webster.
Yeah, absolutely.
This is a boat, we haven't mentioned it yet today, but that is a boat that was the Oh Boy Oberto backup, and just prior to the season, maybe a month or 2, 3 prior to the season, the Webster Racing team sold the boat they had, which had been one of Ed Cooper's older boats, nicknamed Tubby, and they sold that to Ted Porter. Ted has been just monumental in this season, donating the extra hulls that he has, his display hulls for use by the Air National Guard, by degree men, taking him to boat shows. He has really done a tremendous job on behalf of the Air National Guard Unlimited Hydroplane Series with those boats. And so Mike has what used to be the backup of Boy Oberto until just about 3 years ago.
Yeah, you mentioned Tubby. When I asked Mike today what the difference was, how he was feeling this year versus last year, he said about 1,000 pounds lighter.
Yeah, that's true. Tubby was a piston engine boat. Here are your unofficial results. And first place, Dave Villwalk and the 96 boat, the Spirit of Qatar. Second place to J. Michael Kelly in the 88 degree men. Third place to Mike Webster in the Great Scott presents Campaign WSU, and FormulaBoats.com in fourth place with Mark Evans.
And once again, it proves Dave Villwalk can win from just about any position on the race course.
And we are ready with Patrick Nolan down in the Tom Denchel Ford pit cam with the winning driver. Patrick.
All right, guys, I'm with Dave Villwalk. Dave, you make it look easy. How did it go out there? You start from the outside, but then you move in on J. Michael and take the lead.
Yeah, we just tried to make a good start, and got some good boat speed and managed to get up front.
What do you kind of do when you get that far in front? Do you let off at all, or you just
trying to keep all the parts together? You see, we broke a wing, and so we got some work to do.
Okay, so you got work to do before the third heat, but 400 points so far. That's got to feel good.
That's good. A lot of points in the bank, and so hopefully, we'll get a good draw for the final and go from there.
And what would it
draw for the third heat, I should say?
What would it mean to you? You get number 64, you're 8th here at the Columbia Cup.
Well, count those chickens when they hatch.
Yeah, of course. Still got a little bit of racing to go. We thank Dave Villwalk for joining us, winner of Heat 2C.
As you saw, it's not as easy as it looks. He broke the wing, and he was so far out ahead. So anything can happen here, and they'll fix it. That's not a problem, but they do have a little work to do.